are open, New York.
A digital currency in which transactions can be performed without the need for a central bank.
All right, Jared, we come to you.
What is Ripple?
Woody was a Bitcoin. Yeah. Yes.
In 350 BCE, Aristotle defined sound money as being durable, transferable, divisible, scarce, recognizable, and fungible. Sound money.
I mean, I know what cryptocurrency is.
Why don't you tell me what you know about Bitcoin as a jumping off point?
Okay, sure.
Yo, check it. Hey, yo, fuck cash currently. Cuddies pay me in cryptocurrency. For the crystals that I cut with the cutlery. Anonymous, don't have to meet plugs on the corner now. Press enter on the keyboard. I send your order out. 100 miles an hour as we cruise down the Silk Road. Blowing OG out the whip, trying to pull hoes. I dream of empires, trying to stack guap like niggas who work on Wall Street. So I'm chasing buyers. Log in, there's plenty of users and consumers getting high and rich off of their computer. Ain't nothing new, this info ain't for everybody, yo. Use it to your advantage to take over your body, yo. Magic mushrooms, I had them eating them like Mario. Blockchain heavy, got it clicking with the Molly flow. And niggas gotta know.
It was founded by a Japanese guy.
Or guys or girls going by the name Satoshi Nakamoto in 2008. True identity still unknown.
Talking about niggas grilling, man. We out here. Lordy. Yeah. I told my Lordy to take a look inside the dark market. Upload the Bitcoin, we going car shopping. Yeah. You wanted me to check out your music page, you not popping. Knock your ass out like Bernard Hopkins. I got a computer geek white boy to go to John Hopkins. One Bitcoin worth $8,000. Let's get it. Found the vendor off the tour browser, bought product and flipped it. He just needed a drop addy for where they gon' ship it. It wasn't a scam, he read the forms before he made a decision. Until he ran into his man Skrilla. Yeah. Told him we can do this shit legally, no need for paraphernalia. Just keep your word, I heard here's somebody that'll kill you. I'm on a Coinbase, looking kinda familiar, like I've been here before. I see the transaction on the blockchain, you gotta spin with your boy. Shoot me the address to the wallet, and I'ma send it tomorrow. Just make me want run up in all black on the horse like Zorro. It'll be best to control the temperature, Papo. Put a nigga ass in the footy nails, there won't be nobody there to help you. Coinbase layout super easy, it's no way I can fail you. Use the VPN so the boys have no way to trail you. The move at fast pace, I had to control the hash rate. The value of the Bitcoin decreased, it was a bad day. Misogynist acts use bitches' backs as an ashtray. Skate on bitches like Cascade. I'm out. My lordy got a Bitcoin ATM in his living room. All of the cash I had in my pocket, I wanted to give it to him. With the vision, I'm vicariously living through him. I told my bro it's a way that we can make money, even though it's different for him. He got a new job contract, want me to rip it for him. Told me any ideas I had in my mind, go ahead, pitch it to him. My dude's busting the room like, what are you niggas doing? Yo, give me the I told my lordy to take a look inside the dark market. Upload the Bitcoin, we going car shopping. Yeah, you wanted me to check out your music page, you not popping. Knock your ass out like Bernard Hopkins. I got a computer geek white boy, you go to John Hopkins. One Bitcoin worth $8,000. Let's get it. Found the vendor off the tour browser, bought product and flipped it. He just needed a drop addy for where they gon' ship it. It wasn't a scam, he read the forms before he made a decision. Until he ran into his man Skrilla. With the raps and the Bitcoin, we can make 11 million. Get a dose of me, that's how the medicine heal ya. Hear me? Give me those. Give my Bob Lordy. My Bob Lordy.
Not in generations.
generations has Wall Street absorbed the number of body blows it took today.
The world has gone mad and the system is broken.
The American financial system is rocked to its foundation as top Wall Street institutions topple under a mountain of debt.
Bailed out by the taxpayers.
It's pretty clear they cannot be trusted.
Money protocol.
He said, your problem is that you're trying to...
What is up, everyone? I am freaking stoked to be sitting here with the man, the myth, the legend, Jack Mahlers. Jack, you just dropped some awesome new updates about Strike. And yeah, today's a big day. Thanks for coming on to Bitcoin Magazine for this AMA. Why don't we start by talking a little bit about this most recent news about Strike?
Yeah, thanks for having me, first of all. Big fan of Bitcoin Mag. Yeah, the news is that everyone can use it, basically. Nothing more complex than that. We've been operating the private beta for a while, a lot of good feedback, fixing bugs, testing Lightning's limits, and I'm stoked that everyone gets to give it a try. So don't break it too hard, don't break it too much, and I'm excited to see where it goes.
So, I mean, there was a little bit more than just that. You have like a partnership with Visa. You're available in certain states. Can you kind of get into some of those details?
Yeah, so we're part of Visa's Fast Track program, which is really exciting. Our first priority is going to be launching a Strike card, which is tied to the Strike application, so that as you're receiving money into Strike, maybe for tips, you can immediately spend it through a debit card anywhere in the world. And yeah, I mean, you can take your Strike app now anywhere you go and spend it, pay Lightning invoices with a debit card. And we're also doing some cooler stuff with Visa on the back end with their Visa Direct network. So it's really satisfying and verifying that Visa gave us a stamp of approval and is willing to innovate and work with us on not only Bitcoin, but Lightning in particular is really, really exciting. And yeah, we're right now, Strike may not be available in where you are. We're available in 46 of the 50 states in the United States. And that is not by my choice. If you have a huge issue with that, please talk to your local regulator. I do the best I can. And you better know that every single hour of every single day, I'm working my tiny little behind off to make it happen for everyone that wants it. So I'm trying my best. So thanks for the support. And yeah, here goes nothing.
Awesome. And kind of speaking of regulators, I think one of the best features of Strike is the hard work that you and your team have done to really minimize the amount of KYC necessary. Can you kind of talk about that process a little bit?
Yeah, I think, in my opinion, the KYC is in the space in general is extremely outdated. Regulations and laws are usually outdated the moment that they are put into action. But in particular in this space, I don't think anyone has really tried to challenge it the way that we have. Lightning seems suitable for small, very innocent transactions. These transactions don't come close to AML sanction limits, to anti-money laundering limits, anything that would deem a suspicion to a regulator. So my major question was, is all of that information necessary? I think a lot of the rules and regulations are built around the speculation on the asset, like exchanges, Cash App, Coinbase. These are the businesses where people are buying large chunks of Bitcoin, speculating with large sums of money, and are potentially threatening to be anti-money launderers, and should have more serious regulation. But for us, I mean, people are buying an article for 2 cents. You don't need to take a selfie and send me your passport. And so that was the main argument and debate. But also it was like really interesting to learn what these people know about Bitcoin, what they know about Lightning, how they see the asset class, how they see their job and do what they do. And yeah, we were able to reason with them and come up with something that I feel is really logical. You can start with your name and your phone number. And as you use the app and scale up your usage, you may need to submit more information. But just to get started and make a few Lightning payments, nothing more than a name and a phone number, which I think is pretty innovative.
Yeah, that's awesome. And I mean, just to get your friend on there, the worst thing is, hey, download Cash App. Here's how to buy Bitcoin. And then 15 minutes of walking through all their information so that way they can actually, get that first touch. This is a question from Fartface2000, the man behind the BitPiggy. He said, "Can you
Yeah.
bypass Plaid? Is there a way to link his bank account manually?"
Yeah, so he's asking about a specific support for particular banks because we use Plaid and they don't have support for every single bank, unfortunately. The answer is yes. Obviously, we have a lot going on, so it just kind of falls within the priority list naturally. So as now that the beta is open, we're going to get more users that have unsupported banks, and we're inevitably going to build in the support that you're looking for. So I do sincerely apologize. You're not the only one that's asked for that. And the last thing I want is people that are in the United States ready to use it and can't because of something like that. So we'll get it done. The answer is yes. Unfortunately, just haven't built it this second. But I got you. I got you, man. Fartface, the author of the Lightning Torch. Can't forget him.
Chuka421 is asking, are there limits in transaction sizes?
Yeah. So when you initially download and perform the light KYC, the maximum transaction size you can send is $100, and you're limited to 2,000 in total before regulators are going to want a little bit more information. And those limits aren't hard coded. They aren't set in stone. This is just like the frequent dialogue that we have with regulators and with banking institutions of, hey, we're going to try this new innovative light KYC approach. We know that Lightning is suited for smaller payments. We know the use cases are typically different than those of exchanges. So what we all agreed on is $100 per payment limit and $2,000 total before we start to engage in a little bit more KYC. And as they get more comfortable, banks get more comfortable, we get more comfortable as engineers and as an application, we'll start to raise those and raise those and raise those and raise those. But those are the ones that exist today, and you can find them in your app settings, actually. If you go to your app settings, they're listed under limits.
So Spooner Milk, hope you have pronounced that right. He's asking, outside of the examples that you gave in the Medium post, what are some other ways that you personally have been using Strike? And just to add some more context, why don't you describe what you wrote in the Medium post too?
Yeah. So to date, we have bought over $200,000 worth of Bitcoin on behalf of Strike users. So the way Strike works is when users are sending and receiving Bitcoin, our trading algorithms are live trading all that's going on and converting it into Bitcoin, converting it into dollars whenever it's most efficient. And we're swinging money around, all automated. And so that's a lot of money for 100 or so users. The predominant use case for those users has been Fold. So we've sent over 80 grand to Fold. Users have bought over 80 grand worth of gift cards. And cannabis is another huge one. So those two, I think the Fold use case is just rewards. The cannabis use case is that's an extremely unprivileged financial industry that can benefit from it, the innovation that we have. We have seemed to circumvent a lot of their issues and give them something that is easy to use. Some of the other use cases, people use Strike to buy and sell Bitcoin, believe it or not. So if you create an invoice and you scan and pay it to your own Lightning node, you're going to have less dollars in Strike and more Bitcoin in your Lightning wallet. And that's essentially buying Bitcoin for free, no fees to your own custody. And in the reverse, when you send Bitcoin to Strike, you're going to get more dollars in Strike and less Bitcoin in your wallet. So you're effectively selling Bitcoin. So we've seen people speculate on the asset, take advantage of our conversion rate or the fact that we don't charge any fees, and do some forms of arbitrage and speculation with Strike. We've seen Strike used by major node operators to rebalance their channels. So if they need more incoming liquidity or outbound liquidity, they're using Strike and their bank account to rebalance the liquidity that they have on the network. We've seen Strike for normal like social tipping payments. We launched Black Lives Matter Strike tipping page today, which is pretty cool. A way for people all over the world to donate anywhere between a penny to thousands of dollars. So yeah, I mean, honestly, the use cases are endless, but the ambition of Strike is much more broad. And I think people will come up with new use cases every single day, especially now that it's available. So
we got a bunch of different people in the chat asking about when their specific international country. A couple are when Africa, when Europe. Do you have plans to go international?
Yeah, of course. If it were up to me, I'd let aliens on Mars sign up right now. But it's not. It's not. And I'm too pretty, too sexy to go to jail. That's what the joke I always say. So unfortunately, the regulators are in my way. There's different regulations based on different jurisdictions, and it's outside of my control. So considering that all of this strike stuff started far less than a year ago, about 6 months ago, we're pretty far along as we can be, and each day we're going to get further. So I don't like to promise deadlines because I don't like to disappoint, but just trust me that I'm trying, man. I swear to God, I'm trying. And we definitely have plans to support the entire world, hopefully sooner rather than later.
Adam Moore is asking, how is routing the fiat payments done? Who is the bank or which banks are you working with?
We work with a ton of banks. Don't discriminate on the suit, man. Uh, our primary partner right now is Prime Trust, but we don't discriminate. We work with whoever, and fiat moves in various ways. We have a debit card processor, ACH debit. They're instant ACH products like the Zelle network, and a Visa Direct is an instant ACH like product. So we don't discriminate there either. Our only goal is to deliver a user experience that we're confident in can change Bitcoin and allow it to benefit lives and businesses all over the world. So, however I need to make that happen, it'll happen.
So this question's from me, but
Yeah.
throughout this process, what have you learned more about, Bitcoin or the existing financial system?
Oh man, the existing financial system for sure. I think the job of Strike is to take Bitcoin as is and make it digestible, relatable, and usable for the existing financial system. I think a lot of us know Bitcoin like the back of our hand. Um, I've known for years that there will only ever be 21 million, that a block is every 10 minutes, right? All of these things. I did not know for years how rigorous KYC AML is, what the MSB MTL process is like, how ACH debit works, evaluating risk and fraud. I didn't know any of that 6 months ago. So I think the safe answer is the legacy system. It is a son of a bitch, but it exists, and we got to figure it out one way or the other. So happy to do that for the community.
Cool. I mean, it seems like you're constantly digesting and kind of, pushing the limits on the legacy system. So I really appreciate that in particular.
Yeah.
Steven Schmidt is asking, can you talk a little bit about the partnership with Visa and how that will help the space?
Yeah. So the Visa crypto team and I have had frequent dialogue, even excluding this partnership. I think Visa is one of the more forward-thinking public companies in regards to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency as a whole. I've been extraordinarily impressed with their crypto team, with Visa as a whole, and we've collaborated on many ideas. Most I can't share publicly, but the one I can is the now Fast Track partnership. So the idea behind this is that a debit card could be linked to the Strike app. So we can eventually have merchants accepting Bitcoin and Lightning invoices being paid with a debit card. Twitch streamers can be getting hundreds of dollars worth of donations from all over the world between full nodes and Lightning wallets and Strike apps, and then immediately walk to the grocery store and buy their groceries with their Strike card with that. So um, the idea more broadly is to really blend the line between the US dollar and Bitcoin. A lot of Strike users even today don't know when they're using dollars, when they're using Lightning, when they're using Bitcoin, etc. We just make it efficient in the background. Whatever the tool is needed for the job to get done, we use it. And so it's kind of further blurring that line. You'll have a debit card. It'll be interoperable with the Bitcoin protocol, with the Lightning protocol, and spendable from your Strike balance. So further pushing that type of mainstream experience really is the intention of the card.
Cool. That sounds awesome. I mean, those kind of things usually have been like available with shitcoins, but the fact that it's available with Lightning and the Lightning balance that's kind of mixed with USD just seems like a lot more utility there.
Yeah, yeah. Again, shout out to the Visa team. They are not foreigners to things like Lightning, Bitcoin. They seem to focus on the right stuff. I've been extremely impressed with them. I'm really happy to have any form of association with Visa. Really humbled by that.
Awesome. So James K said, did you need to get some sort of money transmission license to pull this off?
Yeah, Strike is a regulated financial application. Zap is the Zap Solutions Incorporated is the entity. So the answer is yes. Our compliance setup is really complicated. Again, we've innovated a lot when it comes to KYC, licensing, even Strike itself. When I first told lawyers about the concept, they were confused if it was a processor, if it was transmitting money at all. It's such a novel concept in the space. It's not an exchange. Users don't use it to speculate. So the whole thing has been a learning process. I think our individual use case is quite unique. However, we are regulated, and yes, the short answer is MSB MTL process is something that we partake in. Absolutely.
Okay, so 2600 asked, how do users get transaction exports for tax reporting?
You can email support if you want, but there are no taxes, my man or girl. There is no taxes with Strike. So Strike users don't ever touch Bitcoin, the asset. The benefits from that are volatility and you don't have to custody it, but also that there is no taxable event. So when you make a Strike payment, the taxes fall on us as an entity. So we run the Lightning infrastructure, and users are just debited and credited from their bank account. So there is no tax consequences for you. If you want some exported CSV, you can hit me up on support and I'll give it to you. But you won't need to pay taxes on your Strike activity. And that's one of the really, really big innovations and benefits. If Bitcoin is going to be used in a commerce setting, we have to make it available without volatility, without tax consequences, and without the stress and worry and technical know-how to operate.
So what does that mean for you guys as an entity from a tax perspective?
Oh, so I mean, we deal with taxes, but just as any other trading firm. So you can think of us as a trading firm. Every time you use Strike, we're making live trades in the background, and we're not the first trading firm to exist in Bitcoin. So taxes within the speculative and trading space for this asset class is well defined. It's pretty rigorous. There are counsel and law firms that spend a lot of money and prioritize big clients like us to make sure we get it right. And so, no big deal. You know, it's one of the things, like, how can a user afford all these luxuries with Strike, is because we do a lot of hard work behind the scenes. But that's what the service is for. The service is to make it easy for you all. And I haven't slept. I'm having whiskey for breakfast. I'm all banged up, bruised up over here. But I do it. I do it for the community. You know what I mean? We do the hard part, so you guys don't have to.
Okay, so Big Kahuna has posted this question twice, so I'm going to go to it. I want to hear how Jack expects this to affect LN long and short term. For me, I will likely take some of my channel capacity offline because Strike fulfills a lot of my current LN usage.
Yeah, I think it's an interesting question. As far as the network as a whole, I think it's pretty fascinating to watch everything evolve. So the $200,000 we did, we have an extraordinarily high payment success rate. We rarely have any fails. The network has been fantastic to us. But obviously, if we're going to scale to thousands of users making millions of dollars worth of payments in aggregate, I'm not sure the network has had a stress test like that yet. And so there are some really timely updates to Lightning, the protocol, like Wumbo channels for LND. There's an open PR now, MPP, push payments. All of these things are timing really well for us. So I'm really excited about that. And I think that it'll help us scale Strike. There's also the inevitable chance that Strike pushes too much liquidity onto the network at once, and we'll have to scale it back and put in some limits. And as far as your individual use case with Lightning, I think that that's super interesting too. Of course, we want users. I personally, I'm a Bitcoiner. I run full nodes. I run my own Lightning node. So I want users to be in self-custody of their coins, run over Tor, all of the best practices for privacy and self-custody. But at the same time, I'm not really an advocate for spending Bitcoin. So if I'm going to be using Lightning as a settlement rail, I prefer to use my fiat currency. I have a painting in my room that I bought for 6 Bitcoin. At the time was like $300. Now is like 50 grand, right? I'm not a big fan of spending Bitcoin. I think one of the dominant use cases is wealth creation. So I love Strike in that sense. I do run my own nodes over Tor. I do custody my own Bitcoin. but I don't spend it. So I do expect Strike to get an uptick in volume as the luxury of spending fiat currency over Lightning. It really benefits you, especially when Bitcoin starts to make new highs and makes all your purchases look foolish.
So this one's for me. Like, do you see Strike as an on-road of value into Bitcoin, or is it more neutral?
I see it more as an on-road. So in the Medium article, I posted a graphic of our total volumes, and it actually included the receiving payments as well. I think the receiving payments is like 1/100th the size of send payments. So we rarely sell any Bitcoin for users. We're almost always buying. Um, and I think the greater ambition of Strike is building a payment stack that's natively interoperable with this value transfer protocol that is Bitcoin. I think that that's going to be very intuitive, straightforward, and looking back, obvious thing to do when it comes to these new neobanks, these P2P stack payment applications, is that speaking the Bitcoin protocol, speaking the Lightning protocol, it makes you inherently global. You can do things cheaper. You can do things faster. Remittance is easier. Micropayments is easier. Online commerce is easier. Brick and mortar is easier. And so I expect Venmo, Cash Apps of the world to integrate this protocol from the ground up. And I think Strike is like a Trojan horse in that sense. So I don't have any particular opinion on how it should be used. I think the general ambition of building a uh, a payment stack that's natively interoperable with these protocols is speaks for itself and is really going to change the way that a lot of these bigger companies operate going forward.
Chris Bird asked, "Is the pin for the app the password? Or is there a pin for the app or a password? Sorry, I read that wrong. Is there a pin or a password?"
You're good. I don't believe so. Feel free to send a support ticket if you'd like us to add it. But I don't believe so currently. No. The way you authenticate into the application is via email. By the way, it's not like unprotected. You submit your email, we email you a code, and you verify that you have ownership of that email, and that's how you log in. But if you'd like us to add a pin and maybe remember your email for 30 days or whatever that UX looks like, just shoot us a support ticket. We'll read them all.
So .615 is asking, is there BTC to USD conversion rates available inside the app?
Yeah. So when you scan a QR code, we display what the user will be charged. We're actually thinking about publishing so we do all this trading ourselves with given counterparties. So this is our own BTC USD exchange rate. And we think other services maybe want to use our exchange rate, especially as usage of Strike goes up. Using the same ticker and exchange rate would be pretty convenient. So we'll likely publish that at some point. But yeah, when you scan a QR code, the UI allows you to confirm with the given conversion rate for the amount of Satoshis you're about to send.
Steven Schmidt is asking about Async's Strike competitor. Do you have anything to say about what Async is building?
Not really. I don't think that they're necessarily a competitor. I think they're a Bitcoin native, Lightning enabled merchant platform, which is API based. So I think they're a little bit different. Our main similarity is the name, which was an accident. I've apologized to them. It was not intentional. But outside of that, I don't think we're too similar. I'm a big fan of theirs. I have the Phoenix wallet on my Android, and we run their Lightning nodes as well. So big fan. Nothing but good things to say about them.
I can't pronounce this, but Neo Geofish is asking. Actually, no, this is not Neo Geofish. This is Paradise. He's asking, is the Strike Visa card going to have Bitcoin rewards just like Fold?
Yeah, so we control the interchange, so we can have Bitcoin rewards like Fold. I think that that's not necessarily the initial driver and use case. We don't want to copy the product that Fold has innovated on and created necessarily. We think that it's going to be immensely powerful for a Twitch streamer to be accepting tips from Africa from a full node and immediately be able to spend those tips throughout the world. The barrier between Bitcoin and the dollar is instant. It's frictionless. It's simple. It's easy. and people can go in and out of this asset without even knowing the benefits and that they're using it. So that was the main driver and ambition. But yeah, if people want rewards, we are launching Strike Rewards program with partnered merchants. So when you spend at certain merchants with Strike, you'll be getting immediate cash back within the app, and that will roll out soon. And if we want to pair that with the card and denominate the rewards in Bitcoin, that's also totally possible too. So the cool thing about writing code is anything is possible. It's like a superpower. So we launch, we let you guys use it, see it, feel it, touch it, give us feedback, and then we keep building. So we can do whatever we want, you know?
Okay, so this is kind of building off that, and this is from me. What's the biggest challenge when it comes to actually working with retailers and get them kind of on board with Strike / Lightning?
Yeah. Yeah, the merchant side, the acquiring side is really difficult. Almost always it's a chicken and egg problem where merchants don't really have much upside, where they are being asked to custody an asset that's natively digital that they don't understand. They're being asked to be exposed to serious balance sheet volatility where they can lose months worth of business with a bad day of the Bitcoin BTC USD price. They're being asked to take on tax consequences where they're likely have to consult a tax accountant or any other accountant. So they're being asked to do a lot, and in return, not getting much. The market size of people walking around with Lightning wallets in their pocket is not huge. Sure, they save on fees, but they just haven't seen the volume. So what's really great is when I approach a merchant and say, hey, listen, download this Strike app and see how easy it is. You can tell any of your consumers to download this app, give them a discount. You're saving so much on transaction fees. You're receiving then dollars. You're not dealing with volatility. There are no taxes. You don't have to custody it. So a lot of the cons are gone. We take those on for you, and your consumers have an easy way to pay. And it's a much easier and simpler pitch, especially when they can touch it and feel it. So a lot of the cannabis dispensaries and other cannabis businesses that we work with, the pitch is really easy. These people get charged 10+% to process a payment. And I knock on their door and I say, I'll do it for free. And by the way, it's so slick and it's so easy. Here, download this app. And before you know it, everyone in their store is using it. So it's a much easier pitch than maybe what it was 4 years ago selling Bitcoin to a merchant.
Yeah, absolutely. It's really you guys are using Bitcoin to kind of arb the merchant processing industry a little bit.
Yeah. Yep.
All right. So next question. This is actually from Neo Geofish. He's asking, or she, can you recommend any specific resources for learning Lightning application development?
Oh man, my favorite resource are the people, believe it or not. So I've been in the Lightning community developing stuff for like 4 years now almost, and I've learned most from the people. So there are Telegrams, there are Slacks. I hang out on the LND Slack most commonly, and the developers there are extraordinarily friendly. It's easy to ask questions. Information is extremely accessible. Also, just downloading these repositories and running them yourselves. They're all open source. All issues are open source. All pull requests are open source. The protocol specification is open source. So my advice to anyone looking to build is always to just do. It's easier to do, understand what you don't understand. That's the hardest part. If you can understand what you don't understand, it's easy to figure out how to understand it. So that's my advice.
Awesome. So this one's from Brand BTC. Brand is asking, you're trapped on a deserted island and you have to survive for 2 months. You're allowed to bring 2 other Bitcoiners and it can't be your family. Who do you bring?
Take a sip of whiskey for this. Fuck. Give me a second.
Who's going to help you survive, man? There's definitely some survivors in the Bitcoin community.
Yeah, on a deserted island, like Castaway style. I don't know a lot of these people personally. I need like a strong dude who can like chop a tree down and shit. Fuck. I'll go with. Honestly, I'm gonna go with Marty and Matt. We just drink whiskey and have a good time. And if the island got the best of us and took our lives, I would die ripping a rabbit hole recap, and I'd be happy with that. So that's my answer. Those guys are in my ears more often than anyone else. I love those two. So if I had to spend the rest of my life on an island with two Bitcoiners, it would be those two for sure.
Man, 2 months to the rest
Shout
of your
out
life.
TFTC. Yeah, shout out.
Vinny P says that you're a true alien, absolute legend.
Fuck yeah, I am an alien.
Klaus Louvgreen is asking if you're still actively developing Zap Wallet for desktop and iOS.
We try our best, dude. The amazing thing about a lot of the work we've done is that people use it and people really like it. The more difficult thing is we have too much to do. So Zap is a project that I self-funded, and I was paying for all of the development, doing all the development. And at a certain point with all of the Strike stuff, it got a bit overwhelming. So we had to prioritize, which is normal and totally fine. But a lot of this Strike stuff we wanted to get out to everyone. So it sucks. It really does. Like, I know if we were to prioritize the Zap wallet over Strike, the Strike beta testers waiting would be mad at me. If we prioritize Strike over Zap, then now the Zap wallet users are maybe a little disappointed. But we do our best. And the convenient thing about Zap is it's open source. So anyone can fund development, anyone can fork the project. And if you want something done, you can either submit a pull request or pay someone and fund someone to do it. And so I really hope the community picks it up and takes it where they want it to go, or else we'll do it. Just might take us a second.
Yeah, if you want to fix it now, you can do it yourself. Kind of on the tip of Lightning or of Zap, what was kind of like your progression from building Zap as an iOS first Lightning wallet to Olympus, and then finally to Strike and launching this across 46 states?
Yeah. I think conceptually it was understanding why Bitcoin and Lightning is important to these consumers on the other side of the device, these users that are using Zap, that are using Breeze, that are using Blue Wallet, and really getting a fundamental understanding on what's going on, why they're using what they're using. So in the very early days of Zap, people were fans of Zap and using Zap because they're Bitcoin hodlers and they wanted the price to go up, and they figured that Lightning is a catalyst to make their investment worth more and make them wealthier. And then as tools evolved and we started to see people actually using it, we realized that Bitcoin is typically used for either censorship resistance or for speculation. And with Lightning wallets, they weren't using that for either. A lot of these Lightning wallets are custodial, or you have to route your payments through their nodes. So privacy and censorship resistance was not a use case. And when you're spending Bitcoin, you're not necessarily speculating either. When you're buying fold gift cards, you're getting rid of the Bitcoin. You're not speculating on its price going up. So then we really defined this third emerging use case that only existed because of Lightning, and that Lightning was being used as a settlement rail. Like in the Lightning Torch, it was being used to make remittance payments all over the world in real time over a global chat application called Twitter. And that was mind-blowing. And that wasn't censorship resistance, and that wasn't speculation. That was a rails of settlement that is self-clearing in real time between peers on the internet. And when you approach it in that sense, well, how can we use Bitcoin and Lightning to self-clear? Well, when you look at it at that, the Strike interface and approach is much more obvious and much more clear. It's not about censorship resistance. It's not about self-custody. It's not about hodling. It's just about allowing users to interface with the protocol in a really easy, friendly way that avoids taxes, that avoids volatility, that gives them the experience that they're used to, that they've grown up with other applications like PayPal and Venmo and Cash App. And so that was kind of the conceptual journey I went down, is first just building on the protocol to build a relationship with these people, with these users, and try and get to know them and understand what they want to do. And then once I started to get a fundamental understanding of what was going on from a bigger picture, Strike became a lot more obvious and intuitive, if that makes sense.
Dylan is asking, how can an online application integrate with Strike?
We'll launch a bunch of merchant tools today. It's not possible unless, like, take that back. You can integrate BTC Pay Server. You can integrate OpenNode, right? This is the beauty of Strike, is that you don't have to be a Strike user to interact with Strike users. you can just be speaking the normal Bitcoin protocol or the normal Lightning protocol, and Strike users can pay you. So Fold, for example, is not on Strike as a merchant, but we've sent them almost $100,000. How? Because we both speak the Lightning protocol. So if you want your application to be accessible to Strike users, all you have to do is integrate Lightning or integrate Bitcoin. If you want to use Strike as a merchant, where the Bitcoin comes in, you don't touch it, it's auto converted and debited or credited to your bank account immediately. We're coming out with merchant tools very soon. First was the consumer app, and over the coming months, we'll be working on stuff for merchants as well. But the cool thing about Strike is it's natively interoperable with these value transfer protocols that are Bitcoin and Lightning. And that's the coolest part about it. So if you want to talk to Strike users, you don't have to have Strike. You can have any other Lightning wallet, BTC Pay server, OpenNode, BitPay. Any of these are fine. We all speak Bitcoin, and that's what's cool.
Jack, how do you feel about S2F?
I'm a big S2F guy personally. The data hasn't been wrong yet. So of course, I'm skeptical, but I think Plan B is too. I think personally Plan B gets an immense amount of credit for what he's done in the era he's ushered into Bitcoin. He represents a class of Bitcoiners, quantitative institutional investors, and he appeals and speaks to them in a language that we didn't have before. So I'm a big fan of him. Even if S2F doesn't pan out, I think he has been an education vehicle in the Bitcoin space and has done immense work, even if S2F were to be proven wrong today. But the cool thing is it hasn't been proven wrong at all yet. So how can you count it out? Time will tell. I'm a fan because I'm a Bitcoin hodler and I like his work. Math is very binary. It's either right or it's wrong. And so far it's been right. So there's not much else to say.
Yeah, I personally, I feel like I have a similar view. I'm a fan. It's not the Bible, but it seems as though it's constantly something to be debated on Twitter.
Yeah, like is the price going to be 250,000? I don't know. We'll just have to fucking wait and see. But has the math been correct to this very second? Yeah, it has. So there's really not much to argue outside of that. We can sit and drink whiskey and shoot the shit on everyone's opinion. But I mean, just speaking straight facts, the math's been right so far, and I'm excited to see if it pans out personally.
Okay, Nick Hoffman asks, after Strike is officially launched and underway, do you plan to move on to another project, or are you like, is this your company?
No, this is my company, man. I've been working on Zap and now Strike since 2017. So this is it. But here's the thing. What was it, Nick? I'm a Bitcoiner, man. My motivation in working on this stuff is because I grew up in this community. I spent my whole adult life on Bitcoin Twitter, and I owe everything to Bitcoin, the asset class, and I work to give back. Strike was originally an open source project, and my only goal was to just help out how I can. So if this project for some reason is proven to be not helpful at all and a piece of shit, then yeah, I'll move on and figure out how I can help Bitcoin. If this project continues to be helpful and interesting and people want to use it and we're pushing Bitcoin in the right direction, then I'm going to spend every hour of every day trying to continue to do that. So I'm here to help Bitcoin. Everyone knows that. So if that's through Strike, then it is. If for some reason it's not, then it won't be.
How big is the Strike team?
11.
How do you feel about that size of a team, and are you planning to go bigger?
Size of that team is lit. I love everyone on our team. We're like family. We're spread out between many different countries. We all met on the internet through open source projects. So it's organic, it's natural, great vibes. Shout out to the team. And what was the second part? Am I planning to grow bigger? Yeah, I'm always hiring. It takes a unique individual to be exceptionally bright and unbelievably passionate about this space, have the ambition and the wherewithal to contribute and help Bitcoin. And so if you love Bitcoin, if you want to help, and Strike is your swag, and you can envision yourself being motivated each and every day to work on something like Strike and help Bitcoin, then send me an email. I literally hire if you're smart and you love Bitcoin, I will hire you on the spot. I've done it 11 times already, and I'll do it a 12th for sure.
So Beef for Bacon is asking about how do you generate income from Strike? Is it through lightning fees or how's that work?
No, it's not through lightning fees, and it's not public info. There's a few things. A lot of the shit I've done throughout my career has been open source and public, and people have benefited from that and copied our stuff. But there's a few things that I'll keep close to the chest. Like our compliance setup is probably worth a solid chunk of money. I spent a lot of time on that. And how we make money, I'm one of the only ones that knows the answer to that. And I think it should stay that way. I don't think that that's something that the community and I need to riff on. The point is, though, that we got 11 employees. I make it work. And that's really my job at the end of the day. I write less and less code as time goes on. And my job is to make sure that the ship sails. The ship sails and it'll continue to sail for a really, really long time. So I got it covered. Don't worry about it. And that's pretty much all I'll share.
Writing less code and writing more checks. Big boss over here.
Yeah.
So this is something that I am passionate about. Will Zap allow e-commerce sites to accept credit card payments or debit card payments, but receive Bitcoin on the other end?
Yeah, we really, really want to. One of the tougher things about that is the user experience and what form of KYC will be enforced. We don't want to have a debit card widget where a user is going through a bunch of KYC. It really defeats the purpose, and we don't think that that would be worth it. So the first step, I've actually begun this process, is talking with regulators, both local and federal and council, and understanding what is a user experience that we can deliver, and then we'll build it. But we're still in that phase of really understanding what that product is, where it fits in the regulatory landscape and compliance wise. And as soon as I'm comfortable there and I think I can deliver something that makes sense and that works, then I will.
Okay, so another one from Big Kahuna. He's asking, any ideas on how to allow merchants to receive LN payments via existing USD rails, Venmo, card, Cash App? Seems like this is the next step. Currently, people who have Strike or have, oh my gosh, use Strike to receive BTC via USD. Yeah, hope that makes sense.
Yeah. I mean, the obvious answer is if Venmo and Cash App integrate Lightning, then all these apps would speak to each other. We've actually thought about creating business accounts on the respective platforms where if a user wanted to send from Strike to Cash App, that we can broker that transaction and just make it. So I think one of the cool ambitions with Strike that would be dope is if Strike was able to scan any QR code your heart desired. It didn't matter, Bitcoin, Cash App, Venmo. We want to be the glue that makes all of these things interoperable. I think these bifurcated neobank payment stacks have a dead end, and that Bitcoin will be the language we all speak. So it's something that I've actually started to research and started to experiment with. But hopefully these people fucking integrate Lightning. That would be the simplest and to their benefit. I think it's only a matter of time, especially as Strike gets more and more popular. People start to use it more and more and realize its beauty and how powerful it is. I think these people will have no choice, which is a good thing. I really hope I wake up tomorrow and Cash App has Lightning. I'd be proud.
Will Strike ever integrate just on-chain Bitcoin payments as well, or you guys are purely Lightning?
No, yeah, absolutely. So on the Black Lives Matter Strike.me donation page, it accepts on-chain payments. And we're just going to roll that out to all users when we feel comfortable. Really limiting the scope of this beta was important. If you can imagine getting thousands of people at one time using this application, we wanted to limit the scope of what could go wrong, what bugs we wanted to fix, and where we wanted to focus our time. And over the next few weeks, assuming things are relatively stable and we're confident, then we'll start to roll out Strike rewards, Strike referrals, the Strike card, on-chain support. The next few months, I'm going to be hitting everyone with the release like every other week. I got a lot in my bag, but yeah, defining scope, keeping things simple, not being overwhelming, and to the point is really important. There's no real rush. We kind of work on our own time frame.
Cool. Crypto Cloaks asks, when are you gonna get a 3D printer?
Man, bro. What's up, Crypto Cloaks? I don't know, dude. Tonight, maybe? I should get one. Uh, Answers, I don't know why I don't have one. Soon as possible, I guess.
Beef for Bacon is saying going from 3% fees on Cash App to 0% fees on Strike is huge. I'm assuming he means for stacking.
Yeah. Yeah, and he's probably talking on that's why he's asking where we make the money if we're not making it on those fees. Yeah, I mean, it's clear that Square and Cash App, one of their revenue models is people buying Bitcoin. We know in their public reports and their increased volume that that's a revenue stream that they value highly, and it seems like PayPal and Venmo is pressured to copy it. So, but that's not a revenue stream for us. And that's all that really matters is the service is free. We run our business and make our money elsewhere. And yeah, we'll see. You know, that's a great thing about starting a company, building products, open source software, and Bitcoin as a space is you don't really have to ask permission for much outside of regulation and compliance when it comes to business strategy, partnerships, code. Um, I do it all from here in my crib. It's free game. Whatever comes to the brain, we vomit out onto the internet and see how it goes. So
How often do you still play chess?
every day. Chess is like a stress ball for me. So when I get overwhelmed or I'm tired or whatever, I just blitz out a bunch of chess. I play primarily bullet, so that's 1 minute games, but every single day. I think like the aggregate amount of time I've spent on the chess server I play on is like 26 days. So 26 times 24 hours is the amount of hours I've played in total. So not a little amount, a lot of amount.
How do you guys come up with the name Strike?
I actually came up with the name Strike, and it's the first product name that I've ever come up with. I did not name Zap. Our head of operations names usually all of our products. I came up with Strike. I liked the Meteor was going from point A to point B extremely quickly. It's very disruptive. It's scary to some, and it's extremely powerful. It's got those flames, and it when you watch it go through the sky in these cartoons, it catches everyone's eye. But also the dual purpose of Strike is when you Google the word Strike, there's like people protesting, and I think that had a really symbolic meaning. Is that it wasn't only like striking from point A to point B, but we're kind of on strike against legacy finance, and we're making your bank account interoperable with Bitcoin towards a greater movement that Bitcoin is a better money, a better settlement rail, a better savings vehicle. And so I really like the dual meaning there.
That's awesome. I'm glad I asked that question.
Yeah.
So in terms of other Bitcoin companies in the space that you're keeping an eye on, obviously outside of Bitcoin Magazine, who do you
Yeah.
think is doing really cool things?
Yeah, well, I'll be at Bitcoin 2021, so Bitcoin Magazine. I've always been a huge fan of Lightning Labs. The team there, I was like such a kid when I started interacting with Elizabeth and Lalu. So I'm a big fan of Lightning Labs. Obviously, Prime Trust, Silvergate, CMT, all these people that are part of our product. Square, Cash App, I'm a huge fan of. Um, so yeah, I think Square and Cash App will be the one that I elaborate and stick to. I think what Jack Dorsey is doing relative to those in the same atmosphere as him is really, really impressive. Not only what Cash App is doing with supporting Bitcoin, but what he's doing with Square Crypto, funding privacy development, funding Bitcoin core development. It goes a long way how he's used his audience and his brand and his platform. And it shouldn't go unnoticed. So I give him a lot of props, and I think in the last calendar year he's impressed me probably the most of any Bitcoin company. And I mean the fact that their volumes are out of this world huge. I mean they've manufactured a multi-million-dollar revenue stream with Bitcoin just by allowing people to buy and sell. That is enormously impressive. It's a technically easy feature to build, but to do it at scale and and to make the money he's making and the impact he's doing is, I mean, it's unbelievably impressive. So
And the only thing in his Twitter bio is #Bitcoin.
yeah, I mean, the guy is, we'll look back on him in decades and hat tip for sure. He's unbelievable.
Paul Dang is asking if you ever were interested in Go.
Yeah, and I see Tom. So Tom Kirkpatrick is a Strike team member, Zap team member, and our lead engineer, smartest guy in the world. And he introduced me to Go not too long ago. So I watched him and our head of operations play. I don't really know how to play. It was definitely interesting. I mean, any strategy game I'm going to enjoy. I'm also the most competitive guy you've ever met in your life. So if I can win at it, I'll play. But I don't really know how to play. Maybe I need to spend more time. If the Bitcoin community is really into Go, I'll spend some time and I'll pick it up.
What do you think about backgammon?
I never really got into that either. I'm just so like competitive. Like if I'm good at chess, I just am gonna win at chess for the rest of my life because that's just such a luxury. So I'm down to. I really should diversify my games up a bit. If we don't play chess, I'm probably gonna lose at anything else. So not good.
The best thing about backgammon is that it adds the factor of randomness into the game. So like you could be, I mean, obviously if you're the best player, you're still gonna win most of the time, but the randomness kind of keeps it interesting. Whereas like chess, it's like these are the rules, and it's just one mind versus another.
Yeah.
So we have about 8 minutes left till the top of the hour. Do you have any hard stops or anything like that?
No, dude, I'm chilling. Like I said, I haven't slept yet, and I'm having whiskey for breakfast. So my day is just sitting, making sure Strike users can use the app and eating steak. So I'm chilling.
Okay, so Brand BTC is trying to poke you and maybe get a tough question, but he's asking who understands Bitcoin better, Bitcoin mom or Bitcoin dad?
Oh man. Fuck. I don't know if I can answer that. They both understand it in almost polar opposite ways. The way that we divide the family up is as far as the first family of Bitcoin operational roles when it comes to Bitcoin is Bitcoin mom founded the first Bitcoin Chicago meetup, is the most social loving Bitcoiner I've ever met. Definitely understands the ins and outs of Bitcoin and is very active in the space. My dad is the smartest guy I've ever met and understands the Bitcoin market probably better than anyone I've ever seen. I don't know if there's ever been a more successful trader in this space than my father. So it's a different form of expertise. And then I myself build products and am much more intimate with the protocols and the lower level ins and outs and on a day-to-day basis. So that's how we divide and conquer. As a family, we're a pretty strong team, but individually, we have our own set of expertise, I'd say.
All right, that was a very, very good answer. I'm a big fan of both. Feel lucky to have met both Brooke and your dad.
Yeah.
This one's for me. My boy Rockstar Dev is a big part of your team. I love him a lot. What is it like working with the Rockstar?
Oh my goodness, man, I could get emotional. He's the best. I mean, not only is he's clearly bright. BTC Pay server, Zap, and Strike is a hell of a resume. But he's an even better guy, man. Like I said, I got into Bitcoin when I was 18 years old. I'm now 26. So I've grown up with all these people, and more important than building apps on Bitcoin is becoming an adult and becoming a man. And Rockstar is more than an engineer I work with. He's a mentor. He's like an older brother to me. I call him uncle. And so I'm very privileged to be able to spend as much time as I do with that guy. He's given me much more when it comes to just life in general than he will ever do for something like Strike. So it's really an honor and a privilege. He's a special human being. Absolutely.
Awesome. I have to agree. I love Rockstar. I know you're watching, so shout out to you, man. There's some questions about the states that you're not supporting right now. I know one of them's New York. Are you planning on getting to all 50 states?
Of course. Of course. Yeah. I mean, listen, uh, the other option I had is not launch today and wait until we can operate in more states, right? I think it was better to get it out when we feel ready, let people test it, let people break it, we'll fix it. And when those states are available, we'll get them to you in a hurry. So these are the things I work on every single day. I don't take it lightly. I understand how many people, I mean, I'm watching our database in our admin panels right now and how many people are trying to register from those states, and I want to support those people. So we'll get there in a hurry, trying my best. But regulation and compliance is one of the taller walls in this space, and it's not always easiest to climb. So we can just try our best and hope for the best, really.
Can you talk a little bit more specifically New York? Like, is New York like worth the bit license, or like what are your thoughts about that whole situation and getting into that market?
Yeah, well, they're potentially migrating the bit license away, so it may not necessarily be mandatory. So our council and myself were operating around New York and watching New York extraordinarily closely. I think New York feels guilty and maybe a bit ashamed of their approach to Bitcoin, especially the asset is a lot more mature and almost a staple in the technology space today than when the bit license was drafted. So they seem to be motivated to change their approach. There's no real timeline on that, but I wouldn't really advise anyone to get a bit license right now. It seems like New York is going to loosen their grips and allow their residents to interact with Bitcoin products a lot more freely. So fingers crossed that that's sooner than later. But it's great, 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 great news.
So Jefferson is asking, can the bank just say no when they identify a transaction is running on Lightning on the Strike app? Awesome product though. Keep it up.
Yeah. I mean, a bank can do whatever they want because they hold your money. A bank can also say no when you want to buy Bitcoin on Cash App or Coinbase. A bank could say no if you want to buy a fucking hot dog. Bank could say no whenever they want. It's unfortunate. Hopefully, I live long enough to live in a world where a bank can't say no because the money that I use and spend and hold is so sovereign to me, and I hold my own keys. But unfortunately, that's not the world we live in today. So banks always have the luxury and ability to say no. If Chase Bank and some of these bigger banks want to go to war with me and start saying no, fine, I'll go to war. Bring it on. That'd be great press. I'd take you on a national stage any day of the week. But to date, they haven't said no. They've allowed people to buy Bitcoin at Coinbase, Cash App, Kraken, all of these different entities. And so I don't see why we would be any different.
Awesome. All right. Well, I think we're getting to the end here. If another good question trickles in, I'll ask it. But I think there's a good spot for a last word. This has been a really fun interview, and thanks for being so open to all these questions.
Yeah, dude. I just want to say, I said in the blog post, but I grew up with this community. I know when I had a near death injury, this community had my back, was there for me. You guys have supported me this entire way. So I do really mean it when I say I love all of you guys. It means so much, man. It really does. To get up every morning, work on what I work on, take risks, and try my best, knowing that you guys have my back. It really is. It's an honor and super humbling. So I appreciate it. I love you guys. I'm going to continue to work to bring Bitcoin to you guys, bring Strike to you guys, and hopefully make a difference. So thanks for having me. And I'll be online hanging out. I'll be on Twitter. I'll catch you guys there.
Awesome. Well, Jack, thanks again a lot for coming on, and thanks for spending time with Bitcoin Magazine. We really appreciate it, and I'm excited to dig into Strike myself. So great job on the application. I think with that, I'll let you go. Peace, my man. Let's
Awesome.
close it out.
Peace out.
A digital currency in which transactions can be performed without the need for a central bank.
All right, Jared, we come to you.
What is Ripple?
Woody,